morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. It's Larry Benedict, joined by Eric Shamilov. Good morning, Eric. Crazy weekend. Trump didn't taco out, but before I get to that, I just want to let everyone know that's watching that I just aired a quick video where I explain how I am looking at 2026, how we're going to play it. I think it's an interesting time. Obviously, with everything that happened over the weekend. And I'm going to give you my favorite ticker to play for this, which I think you'll find really, really interesting. So there's a link in the comments if you want to check out the video. I don't want to press on it too hard, but I think it's something that everybody should check out, especially with this weekend's activity. I've had experience to trade in many situations like this. Obviously, each one is different. This is obviously different than the last one and the one before, but I always have flashbacks to the first time we hit Iraq. There was no night trading. They didn't even have futures. Now you could trade stocks, you could trade, on IB and Robinhood and all these sites. But back then we were trading, and we were trading off of basically European and Asian action to give us a U.S. opening that only opened at 9:30 a.m. And it was funny. That night I was talking to my partner who ran the firm, and we actually had a short position. And when they struck, the markets in Asia were down like limit. We were like so happy, and then by the opening, we were destructed because they felt like the war was over, and the markets were up. This is a little different. I feel like, my personal opinion, not that it matters, I think it's a great move. And I think very good things will come out of this for the future of the Middle East. But that may take more than a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. I was just listening to the joint chief of staff, the head general, and basically, I mean, unless he's not telling the truth, I mean, we're in full control and wiping out all their weaponry and all their defense forces, drones, etc. So I believe they'll be fully neutralized by probably today, or if they're not already. So it's a little bit of a different situation than a Syria or Venezuela or whatever. You have a 90 million people, or whatever country where, to take over Tehran is going to be a little bit difficult. And, having a group of protesters, 10, 20, 50, even 100,000 is not that meaningful. So we'll see how all of this plays out, but it definitely is interesting for trading. With volatility up and uncertainty in the markets. And, I'll throw it over to you for a minute, and then we'll get back. We'll touch on all of these macro markets and sort of how to play this.
Well, good morning. Hope you had a good night's sleep. I'm sure
I actually didn't trade overnight. I think I made one trade. There's no trade. Like, I wanted to give it time. Like, what are you going to trade? What are you going to do? Oil didn't move more than $2. Gold, is still up. It's always up. Even if we weren't in more, we'd be up 100, because that's what it is. It's up or down hundreds every day. And S&P, was down 30 on the opening, then down 110, and now back down 60. And I've traded days like these, and they're very dangerous because a lot of times they bring it back and end up on the day when you think everything is so negative. So I'm a little bit leery of that. But anyway, sorry to, jump in front, but I just want to let people know.
I think that was the right move. You want to let the market breathe. Initial reaction 6 p.m. futures. Most of the move has already been made for the time being. I mean, U.S. is going to open up. Let's see. Europe really didn't. Europe is down a lot today, but all year, I think in the beginning of the year, you go back to the podcast we were having. We were talking about. I don't know if you agreed with it. I don't remember, but this was going to be a year of a repricing of growth and geopolitical headlines, and I think we're seeing that. Um, you got to think some of this is midterm related, so there's that. Um, but the Ayatollah is out. I mean, that's a crazy thing. You think this is a war that lasts a while, or because Trump is saying we could be in for a while?
I would say this. It it it's going to last a while because they're going very methodically and slow. I think they've only killed, which is still very sad, a couple of hundred Iranians in Iran. With all of these strikes, it seems very precise, and so I think we're going slow. If we ratchet it up for whatever reason, I mean, it would go much faster.
Well, it's
I
a
mean,
little higher than a couple of high. It was like I think last thing I heard was something like 550. But yeah,
whatever, man.
yeah.
And it's not. I mean, come on. What was going on in Israel? I mean, that was thousands and thousands and thousands and whatever. So, I mean, I think we're doing this very methodically. Um, the questions that I have is, I believe we don't want to have boots on the ground, which is probably a wise move, right? So it's hard to get a regime change with no boots on the ground, or, there's no one to take over. Like, listen, what's happened is they killed the president along with Khomeini and about 30 other people. But guess what? There's about 50 people underneath that just step in. They killed the president twice in 1 year, and now there's a new president. So, there is a secession.
Well,
Um,
there's not. They're ruling by coalition over there right now. I think there's like a 3 person.
I understand that, but there's always someone to step up. I mean, there's thousands of people in the Revolutionary Guard, millions probably in the Revolutionary Guard. So I think there's a misjudgment of the Revolutionary Guard and the leadership there, in the sense that it's not like Assad in Syria, who was by himself and there was no one underneath him. He ruled with an iron fist. This, believe it or not, was very parliamentary, um, in the sense that there are many people in the leadership. So I think that that's a little bit of a misjudgment. And I think a little bit of a misjudgment is a bunch of college kids, or, like kids in, where I live, protesting on a street corner, thousands of them, can take over government. So I think those are a little bit of our problems of how we're going to install, or how we're going to get rid of the existing leadership. And it was a little disheartening that Trump came out over the weekend and said Iran wants to talk, and basically said, we're not talking to you. They're never talking to us. I mean, we've literally we killed the supreme leader, who is like literally like an idol god, okay? Who was going to die anyway within the next couple of years at the most. He had severe cancer, and we just took the guy out, which isn't obviously a bad thing, but, they're not, that's like a god to them. It's not like a person. So I don't think they're coming to the table anytime
Is it?
soon.
I mean, there's. I don't. There's a lot of people in Iran that don't like this regime. But I hear you.
Oh, well, listen, okay, just
And
think
around
about,
the Middle East. I mean, it was amazing to
well,
hear how the Prince of Saudi Arabia was lobbying for this as well. I'm sure Israel also. But it was
what do you mean? Israel took him out. We didn't take him out. Israel took him out. Okay. That
But
was an
it's a
Israeli
regional. It's
strike.
a region. Well, my point is, it's regional. Nobody likes them over there because they're destabilizing. Saudi Arabia wanted them out, and then the first thing that Iran does in retaliation is bomb Dubai, which
Well,
is
why do you think that? Well, they bombed everywhere. Okay, they bombed they bombed everywhere. Okay, but do you know why? Think about why. It's very obvious because these countries let the United States set up bases there. They let the United States fly over their airspace, and they basically were okay with it. And that, you know, got them mad. I think they were trying to strike air bases across the region. I don't understand the Dubai thing. Maybe they were pissed that it's so nice over there that they wanted to wreck it. But I don't want to spend that much time on this podcast on that. I really want to touch more on market reaction. Um, you know, macro reaction. And
before we get into the market reaction, let's talk about how the market was trading on Friday. It's almost like the market knew something was up. Oil was up, right?
Oil
Silver
was up. Listen,
weird.
I traded oil on Friday, and oil was up and down and didn't really do a hell of a lot. And I'm actually mad at myself because I wanted to put on. I've been very bullish on oil. I wanted to put on a position, and I thought the risk. It's obviously easy to look back right now. The risk reward was skewed, even without a strike, to the upside because this probably wasn't resolving itself at all. I don't think they wanted a
I'm
strike.
saying oil was up and down. It was up on the day, pretty good. Heating oil was up, which is diesel. It was up.
It
There
was
were a
up
lot of
small.
things that
It
okay.
was up. It was up small. I don't know. I mean, I had a position on. I mean, I was short puts. I didn't even have to take them in, but they were in the money.
My,
It was up
my
and
point
down.
is, poly market also knew. My point is, somebody knew. I think the trading action on Friday and even a few hours before the first missile got fired, poly market knew. Somebody knew something. The
Well,
market
I
kind of
don't. I don't. I'm gonna go with. I don't agree with that because I was out on Friday night with a bunch of guys who were in the market, and I was showing. First of all, you want to know something about Polymarket? If you're a U.S. citizen, you can't bet on Polymarket. So let's forget about talking about Polymarket because you can't open an account in the United States and bet on Polymarket. You can on Kalshi. So let's talk more about Kalshi because that's the only place where you can bet. You cannot open an account. We tried to open an account Friday night on Polymarket and couldn't. Okay. But the odds of an attack over the weekend were 1%. 1%. That was it. So they weren't pricing in anything for this weekend. They were basically, you know, flattish, no attack. Listen, you can look at the options. The options were not pricing it in. They didn't have it. Okay. Now people bet for the end of the month. Guys won a lot of money. There was some guy that won like 150 million. That is true. Obviously, these these betting sites, which we talk about all the time on this show. Okay, they're prone to inside information, and inside information is actually legal. Okay, in this market you can get as much inside information. You could get Trump's speech before it comes out and you can bet it, which makes this very inefficient. Very, very inefficient. You're at a disadvantage, but I will tell you, this market, these defined risk strategy markets are very, very small in size. Like if you pull up the the chain on it, like the bids and offers on it for percentages are very small. So there's not they're pumping it up through their advertising and all this stuff, but it's not really that big and that efficient yet because I think there's anomalies in these markets. But anyway, you know, now we're in I don't know, I guess you call it a war market. So the question is, in the war market like today, like how do you really play it for, I'm going to call it fake news or whatever, because like you could be trading right now and all of a sudden some fake headline can come across that Iran wants to meet with the US. The market will explode up, right? Because they'll think the war is over. Or, like this morning, the market was firm and then all of a sudden it came out, early in the morning that they said they don't want to meet with the United States. So we dropped. So that's the one thing that scares me, is doesn't scare me, but something you have to keep in mind in your trading is fake news headlines. Like, what if they put out a headline right now that Iran wants it to stop and they're willing to talk. I don't believe that's happening, but you're right now at the precipice of getting screwed for a percent and a half on what could be fake headlines. So I suggest during these times, which it's easy to do, just size down your positions. Vol's at 23. Um, I just I don't see how this escalates, to something more than what it is, because it's really everyone in the world against one country, right? I mean, like you said, they're bombing people in the Middle East. You think they're happy about that? You think Dubai is happy that they bombed their airport? I mean, they've got to be out of their mind. I mean, Dubai was dubbed like the safest place in the world, even though it was in the Middle East, right? So what do you make of that? I mean, I think it's them against the world. I mean, I don't know why they bombed, Kuwait and Oman and UAE and all these other places for really not a lot of I can't figure out the reason. Do you know the reason? I mean, other than what I said, that they were pissed that they let them set up U.S. bases there, they let the U.S. fly through their airspace, all of that.
Well, Iran and Saudi Arabia have never been friends. This is these are regional enemies. But going back to your random headline point, yeah, I agree. It's almost like you have to play it waiting for a headline, then kind of decide whether it's a fade or not.
But what
Six,
if you don't get the headline? Like, what if we go, the day today without a headline? The market's down a percent on the S&P. It's down a percent 30 on the Nasdaq. European markets got hit, which is interesting. DAX is down almost 3%. I mean, obviously, these markets have outperformed us significantly. But what is this saying? I mean, they're not even involved. They're really not even involved, and they're getting whacked. And we're barely getting whacked. So, um, you
well,
know,
we're already down at the open here, a full sigma to the downside.
oh, stop. I gotta stop you. We literally bombed the
60 point
country.
straddle,
Dude,
60
we
point
could be
straddle.
down a percent for no reason whatsoever. Okay, because they didn't like the PPI number or whatever. Okay, we could be down. This is a zero down. Okay, we're down 1%. You think that's a lot? You think that, with us going in, taking out the supreme leader, and basically having three of our jets shot down by Kuwait over the weekend by accident? Okay, you know how much those planes cost? Between 40 and 100 million. Okay, we just dropped three of those, okay, for no reason in one day. Okay, so this war is going to cost a ton of money. We've already had small casualties, and now we're losing equipment. Okay, and the market's down one. You love to say one sigma. It's down 1%. Whatever. Okay, I don't know. I mean, does that seem? I mean, let's pretend we had like covers on our eyes, and I gave you a scenario, and I said, "Hey, we got into a war with Iran. We killed the supreme leader. Three of our planes got shot down. Okay, and we lost five people. Okay, you think being down a percent is anything? Honestly." I think I don't know. We've gone up, forever and ever and ever. So I would say it's pretty light. But one thing that I know from trading in these scenarios before, they love up on the day on one of these things. They just love it. That's just what they love. I'm not saying they're going to be able to do it, but that's what they love. And Trump cares about the market. But what's interesting is Trump is what, a year and a couple of months into this thing already, right? And last year the S&P was up what, 14 or something, and now we're down 1.5% too. So we're up 12. Like, if things just don't go his way in the next couple of months, the market's going to come back to being flat or even maybe down, okay, with a small 10% correction. Then what's going to happen? He's coming into the midterms with the market um, flat to down. He's going to be out of his mind. So, I don't know. Again, it's too early to tell. I was reading stuff over the weekend with the numbers that came out with inflation popping up, that there's stagflation, and then the trade that is even more interesting from a war perspective. Okay, think about this, and I'm sure you've traded a bunch of these before, but every time I've ever traded them, you have, bonds basically going going down in yield and up in price, and the bond is done, toasty toast, right? We're back to over 4%. We've come in 5 basis points. Does that make any sense? I'm
Well,
just trying to grasp it.
yeah, I think there's definitely a push and pull in the back end of the curve. Aside from the war, there has been issues in the market that has been sending long interest rates down.
Right, but they're up today. They're up. They're up.
They're up today. Oil is up a lot, and like I said, there's a push and pull there. I
Well,
think.
why would they, to Eric? I've done this for 40 plus years. There has never, and we could go back and check this, okay? Maybe if the market ripped the other way, but when you're coming in and the market's down, as you love to say, over one sigma, okay, there is no way that the bond should be down. No way. No way. Other than that, they ran these bonds so much. Like, I'm looking at a chart, they ran them so much that they have nowhere to go but up. And it was overrun. I don't know if it was overrun with a flight to quality bid in it or what it is, but come on. I mean,
Well,
we're
you've been bearish. You've been bearish the bond for a while. You thought interest rates
I
would be.
haven't been bearish. I haven't made one bond trade. My thought is I thought bonds were going to back up. Okay. But I haven't made one bond trade. Okay. I'm looking at it now. I actually would be a buyer, okay, of bonds at 402, 403 for a trade, not for a long-term hold, because I do think bonds are going to back up, but I think there's uncertainty in the market, and I'm shocked. I mean, you're not shocked that the bond is down today? I mean, did this you think is normal?
No, I'm not. On a 1 day move on a day where oil is up like this. No, I'm not shocked, but I agree with you that.
Bro, oil's been going timeout. Oil's been going up all year. Oil is up. You're shaking your head. How much is oil up?
No,
It's
I'm
up.
talking like just
Dude,
okay. Go
oil
ahead.
is up 8%. 8% today. But you know how much it's up on the year, Eric? Timeout. It's up 30% on the
Is that
year.
a
And you're saying,
timeout? Is that a timeout on top of a timeout? That's the
no,
first.
that's the first timeout that I've called. Okay.
It's a
But it's on
timeout
top.
on top of a timeout. That's pretty good.
Okay, dude, whatever you say. Listen, I would just say this. It's up 30%. Okay. It's up 8% today. Bonds have been going straight up in price and straight down in yield. And let's take today out.
Well,
Oil's
why
up
do you think bonds have been?
22%.
Why do
So
you think?
now, wait, now you're swinging the trade in bonds to oil, but bonds have been ripping and oil's been ripping. So now you're saying the reason why bonds are down today is because of oil? I mean, but I would say flight to quality trade supersedes any of that. Okay.
No, dude, flight to quality trade with bonds has been out the window for a while.
Okay.
I
Whatever you
think
say,
ever
dude.
since
Whatever you say.
Liberation Day.
Listen, I know you're debating it. It's extremely surprising, and then we're moving on because it's getting annoying. It's extremely surprising that the bond is down in price and up in yield this morning when we struck Iran. That's all I'm saying. That's it. Okay, it would make, okay. Wait, they're getting out of bonds, they're getting out of stocks, and they're buying, I don't know, gold and oil. I mean, come on. I mean, this, I've traded bonds for 40 years
Hmm.
plus. Okay, this is not. This is a very weird reaction. Okay,
Well, why have
very
bonds been aside from the Iran war? Why do you think term premiums have been dropping with a bull flattening? What's been going on? Why are term premiums dropping like this? Forget the
because
war.
because
Before,
I think that they believe, whoever they are, that they're going to have to ease at some point. And I don't know if they're going to ease because of this
right.
war. I don't know if they're going to ease because of a major slowdown. Again, stagflation. They're taught. I mean, I don't even know how they're coming up with stagflation, but I do believe, I do believe that maybe that's the mantra. And you want to know what? To be honest with you, in me trading bonds for years, having a 25 basis point move is not that big a deal. We've gone from 1% to 5.5% back to, 396. I just,
Right.
again, I'm not really,
I have a
I'm not
question.
really.
If you're if you're bearish on the market, right? Wouldn't you agree with what the bond market has been pricing in all of February now?
Yeah, but I'm not understanding if they have them on the ropes, which they probably did, why didn't we come in and have bond yields at 375, 380? That's the only thing that's weird to me. It gave them an opportunity. Let me ask you, does the stock market look okay right here? No, it doesn't look that great. Okay, so why are they punting bonds? I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but because there's a lot more to talk about. But why are they punting bonds? It doesn't make rational sense. But I guess.
I think it's a 1 day reaction to the potential for some sort of inflationary shock. By the way, Strait of Hormuz is kind of off limits. There's another commodity that is flying this morning, and that's fertilizer. So I would get CF on everybody's watch list. That one is up 11% pre-market. So yeah, I
And I
think
would and I would suggest just potentially looking at that and not trading it. So, I know you love to go into the heat of the fire, but we don't have enough information or any inside skinny on fertilizer. So, it's just maybe something to watch, but not anything to really trade. I think I'm selling gold this morning on the opening. I think it's ridiculous. It's I mean, gold and silver are not silver. It's annoying. Silver was up. I wanted to short it, waiting for the opening. Now it's negative. Gold will be negative probably today, if not up small. Um, you know, Really the trade today is going to come in equities. We're going to see if the market can hold. Again, there's no liquidity in these names. I've been watching Nvidia all night. It goes up and down $2 on a $10 future move. So keep an eye on that stock. They wrecked that stock. You sold the high at 197. It's now down $23. And after earnings, the stock is down almost 30 points from where it was trading at 204. After earnings, it's trading at 174. It's down 30 points. So, we're coming into the level where it's looking a little skittish. Who knows? Who knows how that is going to play out. What's interesting, I think, if you look out, I know you love this thing, but if you look out on the futures curve, I think there's inversion coming from front to back. Um, I think that's a
in
trade
what
that we should.
in
I
what
think we should. I think we should be buying front month vol and selling back month vol.
oh
Like,
in VIX. I got
yeah,
you.
VIX. That thing is flat to inverted. I know you look for stuff like that. Oil is $72 a barrel. I, you know, it,
No, that curve. I'm looking at the curve here. I'll pull it up. I think there's room. I think there's a lot of room in the VIX to get backwarded. And the spot, the cash is definitely a little bit inverted to the future. But what you really want to look for is the back end of the curve right here. And it's still, yeah, it's flattening for sure.
well, it's going to
Uh,
flatten if the market goes down. I mean,
right, right.
so I don't know what we get out of that, but why don't we pull up the straddle? Let's see what that thing.
Here's another thing, if we're talking about vol, that I would like to share is the skew on tail end protection S&P 500. First thing to notice here, I'll annotate a little bit. All year long, and we've been flagging this a lot. Here's the beginning of the year. I'm going to put a circle right there. That's the beginning of the year. Skews were rising almost from day one of January, rising. Now they're at the highest levels since Liberation Day. So tail end protection. This is a measure of tail end protection. Okay, so all year long this has been rising. It was bothering me. I'm like, why is tail end protection rising? The indices are acting like everything is okay. Um, and then we get what we get in February, which is a major rotation. But now with the war, that tail end protection is getting even higher and at the highest levels since Liberation Day. What do you make of that?
I think it has a lot to do with uncertainty and the fact that we took out the supreme leader of one of the largest countries in the world, and in population, and we're sitting here, and we're gonna wait to see what happens. You know, I'm looking at oil. Oil's had like a muted reaction. I mean, obviously it's up 7%, but it opened up 9, it went up 5, but it's really been sitting here pretty much at $72 in the front all night. What do you make of that?
I think I would not advise shorting oil. That's what I would say.
Really?
Um, yeah, I think this is a war. The type of war that this is, it's going to be very prone for out of the blue mishaps. You just saw it in
Well, let me
Kuwait.
let me ask you, but how do you really think that if they're getting on TV, and maybe they're lying because anyone could tell a fib or whatever, but we have full air supremacy. We've wiped out their entire arsenal of everything between Israel and the United States. So how many mishaps is there going to be? They can't put a plane in the air, Eric. They don't have a plane to put in the air. That literally they have no planes. Okay, so they can't be in a dogfight. They've neutralized. They've blown up everything. They blew up their entire navy yesterday. So
And to your, not that I agree, but to your point, OPEC raised oil production to kind of, you know, stabilize the situation a little bit. But go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say. I mean, yeah. Can there be mishaps? There's mishaps in everything. I mean, anything can happen. I just think Iran doesn't have anything, but they have the ability to disrupt through terrorist cells, etc. But as far as like right now, if you flew over Iran, right, in a fighter jet, you're not facing any deterrence. Okay. And I think in the last 2 or 3 days, they've taken out most of the targets that they've wanted to. Like, they listen, think about how crazy the intelligence is. They had all these guys. They thought they weren't going to strike because it was daylight. And they all had these people must have had just such arrogance that they all got together in the same room
Yeah.
above ground in the guy's palace. Okay, I mean, that's like not hiding. They're like it reminds me of like when you watch these mafia shows and they all meet like in upstate New York in a cabin and they all, they know they're going there. It's like, I mean, that to me is like total mistake. Like, what are they thinking? You know, they were arrogant. They were arrogant in the meetings, from what has been
I
said.
think they underestimated for some stupid reason, and look, it's good that they did, but the level of intelligence of the CIA and the Mossad was an
Yeah, but you want to know what, Eric? I think I agree with that, but I think you didn't even need tons of intelligence. I mean, all you had to know is they were having a meeting with the top brass at 9 o'clock in the morning in the palace. It's not like they met, underground in a bunker. I mean, did you see the way they took the palace out? I mean, it's unbelievable. They
I heard
literally.
I heard that they had trackers in their dental implants or something.
That I don't believe, but you know, that I don't believe. But whatever. Anyway, let's look at the
By
straddle.
the way, so that oil short that you're thinking of, I think silver might be the better short out of the two. You know what I mean? Like I think the short that you're thinking about, the fade on the fear.
Yeah, but
Um,
my question is this: when in the history of life has silver been a hedge against a fear index or anything? I mean,
yeah, it's pretty.
this thing is to gold. We've talked about it, and I'm going to talk about it again. Gold and silver are not gold and silver. They're just some crazy thing that are on a wheel for the memers to meme out.
Well,
Silver,
I think gold became gold again. I know you don't think so. I think
no.
silver is still a
How
meme.
did gold become gold again when it's moving 2 to 3% every day?
Well,
We'll come on the air today, and if they reverse gold, it won't be flat. It'll be down 200 points from where it is. Okay, so I don't think gold is gold. I just think these are on a casino wheel. Gold was up 4% on the high. Go back, Thomas. Go back 2, 3 years and see how many days gold was up 4%. Take out this year. Take out the end of last year and this year. I'll bet you it's not more than 5 days, honestly. And this is an everyday thing. So gold cannot be gold if it's moving 4, 5% every day. It doesn't do that. It was just going up slowly, etc. But anyway, why don't we look at the straddle? And what's interesting is
60 points.
we're at 910 today, and since I walked in this office 2 hours ago, the S&P hasn't moved 10 points. Don't you find that to be weird? It's like they're just setting up opening price. That's it. They just want
Yep,
the opening price.
yep.
You know. So the straddles, I know, were in the 60s. I don't know if they're still where the cash is. What, around even?
Around even
So what's the even straddle?
60.
Yeah, that's high, man. So we're gonna get some trading action today, I would believe, for sure. Um, you know,
Or we just sit here for most of the day, up and down 20 points.
I would say the chance of that is very slim, very slim. I do not see that. These guys are not betting on a $60 straddle to move 20 points. I'm just letting you know. So, they're generally right in one direction or right for a period of time. We may come back to even at the end of the day and we may lamp up to 50 and down, to 50 on the lower end. I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, I would keep an eye on some of the bigger stocks today, but 60 is a high straddle.
There's
Um,
premium out there. You take 60 points down. That's 67.40. Puts are trading at 960. There's room for decent spreading, and
yeah, I find it very difficult on the put side to do anything. Okay, so you're down 60. What are you going to hedge it with? Everything's the same price.
I don't know, 68, 60, 70s by 67, 40, 30s today look interesting. As an iron condor, you get $4 almost on a 10-point spread. That's not a bad starter position that you can trade around. There's premium out there. There's a lot of premium out there. And you know what I mean by starter position. You put that on and then you kind of dare the market to be volatile, but since you already collected so much premium, you have room to add to the other side if it gets close.
I just had a question. How is gold going to help you? Like, we're in a war, whatever. The war is eventually going to lighten up at some point. Like, how is gold? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to run around with a bar of gold?
Practically or theoretically?
Theoretically.
Practically, it won't. I mean, unless it's like complete World War III situation.
I said not last year.
I said not end of last year. I took out end of last year.
I mean, listen, we haven't even had a 4% day in gold going back to 2022, just so you know. Okay. There hasn't been a 4% day in gold. So how is this not a different gold? That's what I'm going back into 2022. The biggest up day in 2022 was 3% in a day.
Well,
3%.
it's different. You can't really compare 20. I
Exactly.
understand the comparison, but in 2022, there was no debasement trade. There was no trade away from fiat. Central banks were voraciously buying gold like they are now.
Mhm.
I think gold's in a regime shift and has been. That's what I've been saying all of last year or even the year before. I think that and once gold enters a regime shift, a regime change, it
When
tends
have you ever seen you can't even say you've seen a regime shift because we haven't never had this, is what I'm trying to tell.
Well,
We're
very
going
well. We've had different types. Like Obama years were more deflationary. Gold was terrible.
No, but what I'm saying to you is even in this bull market that started, 3 years ago or whatever, we have not had an up all I'm trying to tell you is the numbers now are dwarfed because you got memers in here memeing it up and down. Listen, gold, this is factual information. Gold was up 30% for the year and traded flat on the year. Now it's up 28%. So it went from up 30 to unchanged to back up 28. Okay. That's not normal. That's not normal. That's not normal trading action. Just saying.
I hate to say it, maybe we haven't seen anything yet. I think this
Okay.
is going to continue to be.
I know, dude. This is like Bitcoin 2.0. What are you saying? Gold's going to 10,000, and when it comes in, you won't be talking about it. I mean, is that what we're going to get to here? Where's gold going? It's at 5,400, up 25% for the year. Where is it going? I just give me an answer. Where do you think it's ultimately going? 6,000, 8,000. Who knows? What do you think? Like,
Yeah, I think 6,000 is a pretty good target for this year.
Okay. That's only 10%, by the way. We did that in the last 2 weeks. I just want to let you know. So you're not playing it for any heavy upside if you think 6,000 is.
No, I mean, I was saying that after the clown show got out of gold and brought it down back to mid fives, mid fours. Yeah,
Mid fours. We got to 4,500 3 weeks ago, and
I
now
was
we're
6,000
5,400.
then too. I even told you I put on a butterfly. The butterfly I put on, by the way, is actually it's going to be interesting to see what that's going to be priced today.
Dude, like I
I'm
told you
concerned about the
before,
500 short calls.
butterflies don't move. Just so you know, when there's that much in it, you can make like 40 cents. You're not making dollars. The thing is not opening up until we get much, much closer. I mean, you have a nice wide spread, but it's irrelevant right now because the middle of that butterfly either picks up deltas or loses deltas. So, you're not going to make a lot of money on that butterfly. You could keep it on and do whatever, but we're at 5,300. What your mid strike is 5,250, right, or something like that. What's the mid strike?
500.
No, I know, but what does that equate to in futures? I have no idea. So, I'm looking at the futures market. I don't know where, you're basically right on the top strike. So if it keeps going up, you're going to lose, you're going to be short delta. As it goes down, you're going to be long delta. Small, very small. But anyway, so we have the straddle today because we're getting close to wrapping. You're Mr. Iron Condor. You feel comfortable doing these condors. I don't. I just want to let people know who are watching. I'm going to knock on wood, wherever wood is. Okay. I think I'm hitting it over here. I think we're 20 for 20 on our trading. Okay. We had another winner on Friday. We're picking our spots. Like today, it's going to be, I'm not saying it's easy, but the way we're doing it is we're going to open. We're going to let this thing breathe for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then we're going to come up with what direction we think the market's going to go in. And we're going to be able to be protected today down 80 points or up 80 points. It's a pretty good leeway, you know.
Yeah,
Moving forward. And
just for the record, on a day like this, it's not that I'm comfortable with an iron condor, but the premium that it offers on both sides makes it very tradable. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of premium for a 10-point spread. You're basically getting half of the max loss out of the way right at the get go.
Well, I don't know what spreads you're looking at, but I'm not sure about that. We have to really check it. But it's going to be interesting. Today's interesting. Listen,
This whole year is going to be interesting, all year long. Because don't forget, it's not just this war headline. There has been a massive slow repricing of growth that has been underway.
Mm-hmm.
Nvidia earnings, nobody's talking about that today. I know, but that's there. That's there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a lot of opportunity.
Stacks on Friday had a big spill. Financials were. This is all before the war headlines, right? Forget the war headlines, but what was going on at the end of the last week in financials and the bond market and the BDC market and the reaction to Nvidia and the continued slide in Nasdaq versus S&P. All of that was already happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, before we go, again, I want people to know that I put this quick video together explaining how I'm playing 2026 and giving you my favorite ticker. And what you can do, which I think is important, is there's a new link out there and it's larrystrades.com. So if you go to larrystrades.com, you will see exactly what the stock is, what I'm doing, and what I'm looking at. So it's larrystrades.com. But, we got to get close to wrapping. We only have 10 minutes. Want everyone to get ready. S&P is slowly drifting out. Again, it's not a lot. We're down 84. Maybe the first test is to the downside. I'm really kind of bummed in a way because I wanted to sell silver. Now silver's down 2%. Gold's only up 1.5%. I think gold could be down 5% today, 3 to 5. If it's the same trade as bonds. Why is bonds not working today? It doesn't make any sense. Bonds should be working today. There is no reason anyone that's buying bonds would be puking out bonds right now. It doesn't make any sense unless there's something to come here that this is like, one of these sell the news type things, which it could be. But overall, looking at bond yields going back above 4% is strange to me. Wouldn't you think? I mean, they had buyer, and now we're at 402 and there's no buyer. So I'm a little leery of a lot of different things here. And now gold is only up freaking 80 points, 70 points. It's given back half the move already since we've been on the pod. I think the goose is cooked on these things. And
again, more in silver than in gold. You can see it right now too.
Dude, well, silver is a 4. Dude, you're the one that was getting basted last week in silver, and silver was up 7% and gold was flat. Okay, there's no core. Dude, silver is a 5x gold, 4 to 5x gold. If you want real heroin trading, trade silver, dude. That'll move 5% in 2 minutes. I think gold is more, legit. I mean, so listen, silver's great. I mean, dude, silver just went from 122 to 64. It dropped in half. Okay, right? Dropped in half in 2 weeks, and now got back to 100 basically from 64. What is that, a 50% up move? I mean, these moves are ridiculous. This is Casino Royale. I don't suggest silver. I mean, listen, I'll trade it, but it's, as you know, it's too volatile. You were a little angry last week in silver because it was moving 5% every 10 minutes. So gold's probably a better, way to trade it. It is moving a lot, but the moving gold is, probably 2 to 3%, where silver could be 7%, So I see that. I think they're a fade. It's interesting. I've been very bullish oil. I kind of want to fade it, but I'm a little worried about front month, with potential delivery type of stuff. I actually think you could buy the 10-year note here for trade. Okay, it's back to 401, 402. But if the S&P starts rallying, that'll go higher. So are you doing the condor? What are you doing today? Condor, no condor? Double condor?
Yeah, I think I'll start it off with that light and then just trade around it. Again, this is a position that is gonna. I already know it's gonna be an active management kind of position. It's not gonna be like a set it and
Why put it on then? Why put it on? Maybe do something else where you're more directional and you don't have to make a move.
Yeah, I don't want to be directional. I like the premium. I'm going to take advantage of it, and then I'll rely on directional around that trade.
Yeah, but how are you getting that on puts? Every put's the same price. Okay, so how are you doing? Show me the iron condor and puts so that we know right before we go what condor you're looking at for
I'm
money.
looking at 67, 40, 30. Okay, so that's almost $2. And like I said, the 68, 60 calls were, when I was talking about them, they were like five with a $3. So like it's $1.50 right there, and you have another $2 on the other side. That's a good premium on a 10-point wide spread.
This gold's dropping. All right. Well, listen, I am going to pick a side. So if you're a subscriber of the Opportunistic Trader and LSP, you'll probably get a trade off the opening. Also, for LOT, our signature product, we're going to probably look to do some short gold here, for longer out. And I think again, this could last a while. I don't think this war is going to last, or whatever you're calling this, as long as people think. I mean, how much can they take? The bottom line is they've wiped out everything and they're just sitting ducks. So it's a matter of how long it takes to, basically end that. And then, you have regime change, which is a little scary. So, we'll see. But anyway, I wish everyone luck trading today. We'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be very busy today. And I wish you luck trading. Enjoy. Peace, everyone.